Donald Trump has humiliated Europe, and how? His reason is clear. European nations have made America into a cash cow for their security. They have not spent what they needed to on defense and evaded his repeated exhortation to raise their defense budget. In fact, Donald Trump's message is absolutely clear. If America does the spending, America will take the decisions. Europe, used to being mollycoddled, is dazed, confused, helpless, defenseless even. On Tuesday, in fact, American and Russian officials met in Riyadh to discuss ending the Ukraine war. Left out in the cold, European leaders are recalibrating their limited options. On Wednesday, French President Emmanuel Macron called a second emergency meeting of European allies. Europe, infuriated by the exclusion, warned that no deal could be made by America and Russia over Ukraine without Europe at the table. Washington and Moscow were not listening. Trump is not plotting against Europe. He is merely pointing out Europe's irrelevance to a watching world. But France says it does not understand the logic behind Trump's statements. Listen in.
United States President Donald Trump makes statements as the days go by, all of them extremely proactive, without consulting European countries, France no more than the other European countries, and we are trying to understand the coherence over time. And the discussions and statements made yesterday by Mr. Trump are in that vein. We don't understand the American logic.
But Trump and Putin do not need either advice or instructions from Emmanuel Macron. On Tuesday, in fact, Trump asked, referring to Europe's obstinate unwillingness to spend on its defense, where all the money is going.
And we have to equalize with Europe because Europe has given us given a very much smaller percentage than that. I think Europe has given 100 billion, and we've given, let's say, 300 plus. And it's more important for them than it is for us. We have an ocean in between, and they don't. But where is all the money that's been given? Where is it going? And nobody, I've never seen an accounting of it. We give hundreds of billions of dollars. I don't see any.
If you think that's harsh, consider this. European countries spend about 1/3 of what America spends on defense. The result? The defense capability of Europe from Britain to Poland is only 10% of America's, 10%. They know they are vulnerable, but they spend their budgets on a good life for their people in a way instead of defense of the realm. They have become dependent. They have lost their security independence. And an American president has now decided to show the world that the European emperor has no clothes. They have become lax, inefficient in their spending. Washington claims that it is being realistic, not negligent. In fact, following the high-stakes meeting in Riyadh, the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said neither Europe nor Ukraine were being sidelined, and also that any solution to the Ukraine war must be acceptable to all. Not just that, Rubio also later briefed the top diplomats from France, Germany, Italy, Britain, the EU, about the discussions that took place in Riyadh. Now, the fact of the matter is that Trump and Putin will decide the future of Ukraine and the security of Europe. The deal they reach will have to be accepted by the secondary powers. Meanwhile, Russian officials did not mention offering any concessions, and US officials did not claim to have secured any during Tuesday's meeting. They have not set a date for a meeting between Trump and Putin, but both leaders have expressed a desire for such a meeting. Meanwhile, even as European countries discuss the possibility of sending peacekeepers to Ukraine, the Russian foreign minister has said that Moscow would not accept the deployment of NATO troops, regardless of the flag under which they would operate. However, there are opportunities for both Russia and America. Lavrov has indicated that there is a high interest in lifting economic barriers between the US and Russia. Rubio has also said that since European countries have also imposed sanctions on Russia, they would need to be involved in discussions about lifting them. So if the war ultimately ends, Rubio suggested it would unlock opportunities for US-Russian cooperation, potentially leading to some pretty unique, potentially historic economic partnerships. The fast-moving diplomacy, which started with a phone call between Putin and Trump just 6 days ago, has understandably caused alarm in Ukraine and European capitals. They worry that the two leaders could quickly strike a deal that ignores their security interests, rewards Moscow in a way, and leaves Putin free to threaten Ukraine or other countries in the future. But if Tuesday's talks are any indication, Washington means serious business. And as for Europe, perhaps Trump is exactly what they need. Someone to tell them it's time to grow up and grow out from America's security umbrella. Western Europe has been told to look after itself. And if it does not, there will be no babysitters from Washington anymore. And with us on the broadcast this minute is our correspondent Anas Malik, who's been tracking those developments very closely. He's with us from Kiev. Anas, thanks very much for being here. Let me begin by asking you to tell us more about what you have been picking up from on the ground as you speak to the people on the ground as well.
Well, Molly, this is the coldest I've seen Ukraine in 3 years since the invasion began. This is my 4th time in the country, and the mood on the ground, it's somber and it's literally quite chilly. The temperatures have been dropping down to up to minus 16 degrees in parts of Ukraine. Celsius dropping to about minus 10 degrees here in Kiev. Even now, as I'm talking to you, it's minus 4 with wind chills making it feel like minus 8. So the mood on the ground, it's chilly and it's somber. There's anger, there's frustration, but then there is some sort of relief that is directed among the people that these peace talks might just aim at or hint at ending that prolonged war that the people of Ukraine have been seeing, and they putting an end to their sufferings at large. Though the anger and frustration remains for the very fact that Ukraine is being talked about without Ukraine being in the room itself, and that is where the anger and frustration stems from. Molly?
Right. Anas, what more can you tell us about what's transpired over the last few hours, especially with Keith Kellogg in Kiev, and a lot of anticipation, speculation even, and optimism in a way, as you're suggesting, about some headway and the possibility of the war ending?
See, the thing is that people on the ground, you have a mixed bag of emotions or mixed bag of feelings. You talk to the normal people, they want the war to end, yes. Everyone wants the war to end. But at what conditions would the war be ending? That differs. The political elite or the ruling elite, they do not want a loss on the part of Ukraine or any loss on the part of Ukraine. People being from the working class, those who've lost their loved ones, they are sort of okay with the fact that there could be some territorial concessions to Russia and to Ukraine both ways, and all of this might as well come to an end. So in the past 24 hours or so, since the US and Russia negotiations have been taking place in Saudi Arabia, we've seen a barrage of attacks happening, especially in Odessa, where more than 160 plus drones were fired. 106 of them were intercepted, but at least 4 people have been injured. Now, these drones had been largely targeting energy and heat infrastructures, and as I said, the temperatures have been dropping down to about minus 16 degrees in parts of Ukraine. So these are largely aimed at causing or hindrances to the civilian lifestyle or to of daily use. So that being said, a short while back, the Russian president made his claim that an infantry brigade, the 810th Infantry Brigade of the Russian military, had entered into the Sumy region, a claim that has been duly denied by Kiev, and immediately rather denied by Kiev, saying that it was a handful group of saboteurs who were on a reconnaissance and they were intercepted, and right now there are no Russian troops on ground. Now, why is this significant? For the very fact that when the invasion began in February 2022, the Russian forces had withdrew from the Sumy region itself. So that is why the comments by the Russian President makes it very significant.
Indeed, and we are coming back to you as and when we have further updates coming in. Anas, thanks very much for now. To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.